Okay, so welcome to our July meeting. I guess I'm supposed to do this because Tyler's not here. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is adopt the agenda, which is tonight's agenda, right, Corey?
Yep.
So we're gonna review the meeting minutes from May 7 and 21. And we're gonna talk about the lake and some other things. And there are public comments, then we're gonna adjourn. So can I have a motion to approve the agenda? To adopt the agenda. Thank you, Steve. Okay. Second. Great. What is your name again?
Mike.
Mike and
Maurice.
Maurice. Mike and Maurice.
Okay.
Should be, not Amy yet. Okay, so next we need to review our meeting notes from the 7th and the 21st. And I guess we can all quickly just read through them. The 21st was our meeting where we looked at the pictures, right, Cory?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to do anything about these minutes other than move to have them with? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the minutes from?
On motion.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Second. Thank you, Steve. Okay, so they are moved and seconded. Okay, so now we can get into business of tonight. And it looks like we're gonna talk about the lakefront first.
Yeah, I'll just go into Blue Heron first.
Okay.
Sorry.
Sure.
So Tyler can come in for Lakefront. But just update, work parties are still going on the second Saturday of the month. And we got a grant. We talked about it a little bit, but Rod Dabowski granted us $10,000 for climate improvements for the park. So
Oh, very.
contracts underdone and going. And go hang out on second Saturday. Because do something.
It's coming Saturday.
It would be this Saturday. Huh?
Show up. Should be fun.
What's that?
We've
So
got
work party.
so much done already. The park looks so nice. If you ever drive by, check it out. It's all cleaned up, everything's lifted up. Few areas that still need some pruning, but boy, it's complete different look than 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah, it's actually funny if you go look at the Google Maps image and you just go by the park and you see what it is today and what the Google Maps was, it is remarkable of how clean it is now over there.
Took a lot of people to get it there.
What time are the work parties?
9 to noon.
Great, that's awesome. Yeah. So.
We'll go back up to the lakefront wildlife. So this is just the start intro, get your guys brains thinking on this one. We are looking at doing about 9 of these, and these would be the concrete stamps. Concrete stamps into the design of the park. So these are the areas we're looking at. They can be adjusted, and the species of it could be insect, animal, fish. And so we're looking at,
Those are cool.
yeah, so the great blue heron one is kind of like the example start. It gives a description of what we'd have out at the park, not near the stamp, but it would be in the park somewhere. This is, I guess, a scavenger hunt for kids, for adults to go look at. There would be a good description of what that is in the Pacific Northwest and the connection And so we're looking at other ideas and examples of things you guys would want to see implemented besides what's been listed here.
So the stamps are actually going to be on the ground, are they mounted?
It could be either or, yeah, depending on where they are,
And these are permanent stamps of.
Like pressing into the concrete, right? So
Yeah.
Now,
Right.
again, it's not like an ink on the concrete, but
Right.
pressing it.
No,
Yeah.
Impression, yeah. Cool.
and these could also be used in future park, developments too.
Right, we get stamps, right?
Yeah, we own the stamps once we.
Nice. Very cool.
It's cool. I like variety, I'll say, I like that it has. A lot of different kinds of animals. I like the garter snake is on.
The only thing other than the heron. There's really no bird. Oh, there's the osprey. There's the osprey. Okay, so there's two birds. Two
It'd be in a snake,
salmon.
mammals. Pretty variety.
Garters.
Yeah, I'm like.
I don't know about
I'm
the
like, get the
garters.
gardener snake out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not so big on the garter snake. I think we'd be a little more creative than a garter snake.
They don't get any credit.
The underdog,
Oh,
right?
Gardener snake, like, come on.
How do we feel about the species of osprey too? Do you think that's a bird? Well-known bird that we see around here?
I don't know.
I have ospreys that live in our neighborhood.
Really?
They don't even look like that.
I don't think that these would be
Yeah.
besides the blue heron. The blue heron is the example of like what the artists
Yeah.
the artists look. And then these other ones are just, quick grabs, so. It would have to be redesigned and everything once we
Yeah.
choose.
They still choose.
Yeah.
I think we should have an eagle.
Yeah.
Hello. There you go. Maurice and I had one of the Merkin eagle there.
That's right.
That's it. Merkin.
And they're more popular out there now than they are,
Yeah.
which is, it's
Awesome.
awesome.
They nest them apart
I don't,
Oh, yeah, they
Oh,
live
yeah.
in nests. Oh, right along.
Yeah.
and they hang out.
Oh,
Oh, right
yeah.
along the water,
Right.
those, the big trees, my friend lived
Exactly.
right there on the
Yeah.
water and. There's a
Yeah.
big tree and you can, whenever we're at his house, you can always see the eagles.
That's right.
Amazing.
That's right.
You
Last time I
see 'em
was
up at
there,
Horizon View Park.
yeah.
So I think eagle is definitely, we
Yeah.
need an eagle up there. I don't know about what else is out there. I mean, do we have crayfish on the
Yeah.
lake?
That was the question I had.
Yeah, if so, I think that's fascinating, I'd love to know more about it, I think putting it on a little sign would let people know, like. Watch out, there's more interesting stuff out there.
Sure.
See, yeah.
Oh, that's
But
yours,
it's-
crayfish.
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah, I think
For
that's
sure.
Crayfish.
it's kind of like there should be kokanee salmon in our.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna see one
Right.
yet. You might.
I've seen a river otter, the waterfront. They're big.
Really?
They are big, yeah, one was living in my daughter-in-law's house.
Yeah.
I think that goes,
Oh,
Yeah.
They're scary. They're.
do they?
yeah.
They were huge.
Very scary.
No, they're scary.
They're really hard to get rid of, yeah, they live in the house, but basements and stuff like, oh,
Oh.
the logs underneath.
Wow. Yeah, they're big.
And there's nothing. Musky, I think.
Well, not that we wanna see them, but there are bobcat and there are, we got that around.
Coyotes.
Coyotes.
Yeah.
Deer in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Deer, coyote.
Close to a gulch or a ravine. Yeah.
Oh, I get deer all right there.
Have you seen a bobcat?
Mhm.
But,
Oh, yeah,
maybe it's a glimpse.
yeah, no, a friend of mine. Lived behind me contacted because, and just said, this is when we still had our dog. This was years ago, I guess. I said, well, we had our dog, I don't even remember, anyway, he sent a picture, this blazing. Like, holy jamoli, you careful. Yeah. So this is, so we're just here to say we like this, we think this is a good idea, not necessarily to choose the stamps at this point.
No, not at this meeting. This is just
Okay.
like,
Yeah,
this
great
is a
idea.
project. Good, we're good with the project.
Yeah. Okay,
And we'll just start brainstorming. You can either send me or bring your ideas back to the next meeting and we can kind of hone in again a little bit of. Oh, what is that?
Liquor.
The woodpecker?
Yeah.
flicker, did you say flicker? Yeah, flicker is real common,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, Philly, woodpeckers and flickers, hummingbirds.
Hummingbirds, we got.
Yeah, everybody's got hummingbirds,
There's some owls around.
owls, yeah, people are posting a lot of
Oh,
pictures
yeah.
of owls. So
I
owls
had
would
like
be
3
cool.
show up at the house. Oh, little guys. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, maybe more of these stamps for some of the,
Yeah, we do.
like spread them around the city. I really like the idea.
We've been watching a flicker dig a hole in a stump in the
Oh.
store.
Yeah,
It's so funny because they're halfway into the stump, but he or she will get a whole bunch of, you know, what do you call it, shavings,
Yeah,
and flick it out.
yeah, exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
That's why they're
hilarious.
called the
It's
flickers.
hilarious. Yeah, they're cleaning house,
Yeah.
but they're digging deep in, so.
Or do we need to identify any of these like on the right, like, yeah, that's a great one, or should we kind of keep the idea,
Let's just,
the details?
let's keep it open right now. I kind of gave the thumbs up to the blue heron originally to give her a start.
That's a good one.
And we have
That's,
the blue heron.
easily use that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, we have the park and everything, so, the rest of these we can look at, you know, species, you know, just kind of think through it and.
Yeah, maybe we should do a little search, like animals in Lake Forest Park or things that, like, we know there's coyotes, the things we've mentioned, but there may be something very special around near the water. That we're not,
Yeah, I think I like the idea of really focusing on the water area.
yeah, like what lives near the water, for sure.
You kind of maybe could even look at the map of like, you know, water up to the forest, like living through.
Yeah, shoreline.
Great,
Is. Oh, we've had a lot of ideas already, so we could fill this park with snails. Make it a zoo. Or are we thinking like nine
To show it up.
9-ish is about the right number? What do you think?
It's surprising the light, I think. So
Going
our,
everywhere.
yeah, scavenger hunt is hunting.
yeah, 9 is probably,
Oh, that's number right.
9 or
Okay.
10.
Thoughts on that?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll keep it around the 9 or 10.
Yeah.
See if there's one that just comes out that we need that 10. Or we just keep it to 9.
Or one that's like more hidden, kind of fun.
Yeah.
The stamp or the,
Yeah, stamp, make it harder.
oh, yeah,
Expert
definitely.
class, like you wanna find the garter snake, you can find it.
It's just like.
But maybe not like digging through the neighbor's yards or.
Yeah, that might be nice.
But the one who did the blue heron will be the artist that does the rest of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, our artwork is very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I was very happy to see the start of that. And then I was started reading the descriptions and I'm like, wait, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? I was like,
Having my
oh.
vocabulary.
Yeah, this is like if you've never reviewed ad copy. that whole-
And it was like, send back notes. I was like, I have a lot of notes on this one.
There's line up, right?
Yeah, and then the idea would be to like have a sheet like this at the park for people to grab to, learn more about the species and
Yeah.
there'll be a map and everything, so.
Okay, good.
um,
Where can you update us on where we are in the process of the lake? If anything changed, updated from our last.
Nothing's been updated since our last, okay. So we're still working to get some things in line and then we'll go back to the Gary Sandra. But no movement, no movement. I did want to just come back to the photo project again, real quick, just to show.
Right.
I give final thumbs up on our choosing. And these are not in any order.
Yeah.
These are just the photos we've chosen. I did. But this is one of them that kind of shows the recreation with people.
Serious people.
That road in.
Richmond,
This, it's supposed to be 522,
okay,
from Kenmore going in.
Wow.
And then,
That's Mrs.
Pearl.
That's Pearl.
And this slide, we would look at maybe doing 2 photos with the description, showing. We could maybe even zoom in a little bit, but showing that house set up all the way and then Pearl. And then same with panel 4, doing 2 of trying to show the layout of the cabins. Five is the Morris property. You see the railroad here too, which is kind of cool.
When did they take the railroad out? Wow. Yeah. Just wondered. Where did the railroad, where
I
was
learned
it?
about
Did
all
it-
this,
Bergum.
yeah,
It went all
Oh,
of
yeah.
the Burgilman was a railroad? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
and it's like I learned about all this stuff in
very well.
elementary school, but
Where it is.
I don't know. And then we added this one in to bring in the heritage, and
Oh, yeah.
this isn't near the lake, but we wanna make sure we honor it. So, yeah. So those will be the 6, hopefully, we have to. Some of the pictures, we still are trying to find better quality so we can use, but.
Okay, can I just say that I think there are too many building pictures, not enough lake pictures.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, there's not a whole lot of lake. There's sort of. And. Road is cool, that's cool. But. I don't know. They're not. Not inspiring, that's for sure. I don't know, what do you guys think? Wait, how did we pick these? We didn't pick these. How did these 6 get, or 9 or whatever's there?
Picked them.
From, is that what we picked at the meeting?
Yeah.
I thought we didn't pick at the meeting.
Big five.
Okay,
What happened with the arch picture? Like every time.
yeah, we had that arch and we had the,
Not doing that as pictures, but I'll.
But yeah, maybe trying to do an art installation of that right there.
What would be the process for getting that? I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but I'll figure it out.
I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have to, once we get through this. The permitting, the hearing examiner, then we'll be able to get to 100% design, and then we can start going out for. You know, this road will be, you know, look at actual specific spots where that could be, and like,
Yeah.
show dimensions of what we need.
I'm still hoping we can hit for the photos. I'm really hoping that in one of the building, the community building, we can have
Oh, yeah.
you know, where it's just. The pictures are just running all the time. It's so cool.
For sure, that would be the opportunity where we could add additional
Yeah.
photos.
We had a ton.
Hanging up there and then having like a TV slideshow.
Yeah, that just runs.
I think what we, like, just to reground what we said last time was sort of inspired by that idea that Amber brought, which was like, look. This will be like, you're looking at this space that used to be this. And I think that,
Yeah,
to your point around the water, there's,
Right.
I mean. You're not gonna always be, you know, the water's there, so the water's there. So this was more about like giving a sense of place for the whole property. And I think that's where we're landing on fewer water pictures.
You know,
But yeah, there are a couple that are a lot of buildings, right? The ones that are about buildings, and I guess that's the idea, is like, this was the property that, the original house. This is the. What developed from that, the cabins. Oh, and that house too, right?
Yeah.
But that one railroad tracks is pretty good.
Yeah. That is pretty cool showing, and it's actually pretty cool to see like the water level too on these. Like that. That's very high, it's way farther out there now.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe not that,
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
amazing, the water level,
yeah,
pretty amazing.
so yeah. Nothing set in stone, but that's just the direction, just wanted to reiterate. You know, and that you might not be able to find high enough quality on one or two of these that we need to replace too, so. That's what we're doing for.
So can I ask a stupid question?
Yeah, but.
yeah, please.
So, no one has brought this up yet, but it's been on my mind, so I'd like to be clarified. The house that's gonna be on the property, it's gonna have exhibits. Is there any concern about security? And
Yeah.
if there is there any discussion about how to keep that house secure?
Yeah, we'll have like a security system on there like this building does. There'll be cameras out there and stuff like that.
So they'll have like cameras or something?
Oh, yeah.
And it locks at night.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When is it otherwise just generally open? What do you think?
It will probably be like closed, like probably be locked up, but then there'll be like rentals. Or like open out hangout hours, but it would all be supervised by a staff worker. And making sure it's closed and open properly.
Okay,
And yeah, there'll be a security system like this building has out there.
that's good. Okay,
So it's not just open all night long, wander into.
No,
good.
and then the smaller building will potentially have office space in it too. So people will be out there during.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, we may want to even consider. Citizen participation, like. kind of like docents, almost like have people who volunteer from the community to take a shift, be out there.
One thing I've been starting to have conversations about is working with the Third Place Commons of partnering with them in that space of donations for the park in the future and like maybe under their umbrella, but then, you know, helping rent it out or
Carrot space.
Yeah,
yeah, because that is gonna be, it is a third space for the
it is, yeah,
and
that's a great idea.
and that's what they are doing is providing third space. And
Space.
they are written in our code as well, so if, you know, the town center were ever to be redeveloped, they have to keep the Third Place Commons in there. So,
Nice. I'm thinking people might wanna volunteer to be in the park, you know. Be able to, you know, like you have volunteers at any kind of park where you hand out, somebody's handing out the scavenger hunt thing and.
yeah, this is more,
No.
yeah, this has more of a.
Good. Sorry, quick.
No, I don't know, like it's a like educational
Yeah.
center versus.
Right.
So.
Is the city responsible for managing the commons or is that so it's
That's
just
their
part of
place.
the?
Yeah, it's their own 501c3,
Oh, okay.
whatever the numbers are. But yeah. Next is. Thanks. I don't think I gave you guys a copy last time, so like the copies. You just pass both of those. Yeah.
Okay, you got this now.
Oh, okay, here you go, pass them down, pass them down, pass
We have an ample of time to read it, so.
them down. Move on. Wow. Or thing. Oh, yeah.
So just update we did the Beans showcase a few weekends ago and it went really well. It was cool. It was fun to see younger kids up there. There's probably over 180 people for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, first time,
Wow.
and that weekend was very busy, and I will suggest moving it, next year.
You mean there were a lot of activities around in other
Just,
communities?
yeah, like it was Pride weekend, there was the
Yeah.
soccer stuff, and then the Greenwood Car Show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think just maybe since it's very teen focused, we move it into the school year as well, whether that be toward the end or the beginning of the school year. Don't know, but it went well. Everyone had a good time and they were fantastic bands too. There's a kid on a keyboard, just a solo, Dylan on the keys, who was fantastic. All different kinds of music, so it was cool. Yeah, it was cool.
That was with the stage wagon, one from the house.
Showmobile,
That's the one that's.
snowmobile and all. And the generator works for power, so we've got nothing cutting out.
Yay.
So yeah, these are the rest of the community events. Public Works and the PD are doing like a big safety fair this weekend. We'll have like a type bike force setup and some of the big rigs will get on stuff. Then Art in the Park with the Shore Lake Arts, they'll do the Shakespeare in the park that night. And Battle of the Bands, it's back in August. And Picnic in the Park, same stuff. And then the Lakefront Park yard sale, which we'll get to in a second, because that's what this is about. Then we're bringing Paws in the Park up. Yeah. I've talked with Paws. For Paws in the Park. They'll participate this year. But for the yard sale, Alice, who's a previous
Yeah.
park board member, who some might not know, but she wrote up this. I'll send this to you guys in a Word document as well. We can post this when we start advertising the yard sale, which is like a kind of facts. And then she is willing to do the map again. She asked if anyone wants to partner with her or help her, or in any way she's willing to help or give it off to someone. But yeah, I think when I've been out at the community events so far, I think people are getting more and more excited about the art sale day, so. We'll start advertising it. I mean, this stuff's been on our website stuff that we'll do.
So it's not website already.
No, this is not it. This is what I will want you guys to have a look at and send back edits. But I will send this in a Word to you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything else on that?
So where's the physical sale of the yard sale gonna be? In the
It
parking
just, no, it's been at people's houses, like
lot? Oh,
it
people's houses.
like a.
The map is published for, so you wanna go to yard sale to yard sale.
I see.
Here's the map,
Okay.
you only wanna go in close to your house.
Sure.
Yeah, people were registering like kind of a gist of what they had, like a lot of kids stuff or a lot of camping stuff.
Yeah.
Alice volunteer, I know that her husband did the GIS work, he's doing that again this year.
But she volunteered, so I don't know what that means, who's doing it.
But it's getting done.
It will be done.
Yeah.
That's nice. Super helpful.
So yoga in the park didn't happen,
So,
so, oh, that's, yeah, it was pretty popular,
I don't know, I just can't.
worked out great. Yeah,
We'll get there.
yeah.
Is the only thing if we're out, and have someone who could potentially do it. Is the only requirement self-insured commitment?
I'd say not self-insured, but actually
Or not
not self-insurance.
Yeah, it's the insurance.
I got somebody who I think would. Has all that.
I
Okay.
bet.
And Cat Hill, I think she's probably, have you heard from her? She do, anyway, sorry. Talk about it.
Like, she worked hard.
No, I think she's, does she? Maybe she does now, actually. I think she recently. Does she? I just went rafting with her, I didn't ask her about her job.
Philip? Or no, Hill.
Hill,
Oh no, so we have a Cat Hill. That's very confusing.
that might be, is that her?
No, I don't think she knows.
Okay, maybe I've just seen it, maybe I've seen the e-news come from her and be like, wait, is that? Cat Hill, I know.
Pat just moved from like, Texas.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah. Yeah, if you have someone, who's willing to administer the waivers and stuff and too, then send them my way and see if we can just even do like a couple dates this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you talking about yoga?
Yeah.
When, I lost, sorry, lost the train here with Kat. When,
yeah, back to
Okay.
yoga.
too many cat hills in the picture,
okay,
but,
Yeah.
And you have one, you think?
Potentially, I was just making sure that I understood what the requirements were before I solicited.
I'll do that this week and get back to you guys and then. See if we can just find like a couple dates for like a pop-up yoga in the park and.
any of these events to do it in connection with, to like piggyback on the advertising or anything?
The art in the park would be a good one.
Yeah, that's what I just. Did.
Potentially picnic in the park too,
Yeah, do it in the morning.
and maybe even possible. Battle of Bands, there's a lot going on, so.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, oh, and the Stewardship Foundation is doing a movie in the night,
Oh,
August 23rd. Oh, and we're doing Family Day, August 23rd at the farmer's market, so. But, yeah, they're gonna do a bit of a Horizon View. Movie night, I don't know which will be that. Still working it out, but
Pretty cool. It's a great idea.
that's nice. Okay.
farmer's market is also doing a craft day coming up soon, but I don't know. It's in July though. So, keep you guys up.
Like an opportunity to do crafting.
I think that they just bring
Focus
in
on craft
extra
sales.
crafters. And I think that the Commons does do a craft, as a craft booth to do something. I have no updates on geocaching.
I don't know if that's all. But I don't know at all. It seems great. I like the idea that it's a separate system that actually runs it, but set up.
We'll circle back.
Yep.
Well, other, anyone has? Other?
When is our next meeting?
August. Maybe August 4th, I think the first Tuesday. August
Oh, yeah,
4th.
I have that on
Or-
my calendar already.
Good there.
Okay.
What time? Yeah, there it is. I forgot about that one. Schedule something. I'll be back that day. I don't know if we're back for 4. But you get to host another meeting.
Oh, fine. I have it on my calendar. I will be here.
You talked to me a little bit about what show that show Bill does.
That's the state
That's their stage.
for the,
So
yeah,
they bring the stage in also.
for the like battle of the bands. We just call that the show.
So if I get
It's a
a
trailer,
right?
yeah, it's a trailer.
My
that
trailer.
fits.
Right,
I unfold it into a stage.
right, kind of like,
You've performed on it.
right.
Oh,
I thought that was City of Seattle's.
No, we.
Okay.
Originally, Shore Lake Arts, that was Arts Council, they purchased it with the help of us, City Shoreline. For culture. Rotary and some other
Okay.
stuff. But they owned it for a long time and then they were getting rid of it. It's, I think the city.
for a song. No, thank you.
And they're responsible for the vendors also. You know, always at battle that stuff, there's always vendors there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, so like Shoreline Arts pretty much coordinates battle events.
Okay.
And then like I do picnic in the park. Awesome in the park.
Okay.
We didn't do Paws in the Park last year, but.
Yeah.
I know, next summer, my goal is to host a real like concert series, to do one concert a week for 8 weeks or something.
Yeah.
And we talked about
Oh, great.
doing like different genres of music each night.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I really think you could fill that with just the high school performances in the area. Like, I think a lot of those bands would come and do something there. I tell you about this, the orchestra at Short Crest, just an afternoon event, one day toward the end of the year, sort of a fundraiser. I don't know how much money they raised. It was just outside in front of the school and invited all the families, so we
Yeah.
just donated more money. But,
Yeah.
hung out, they sat outside and played a couple tunes, the different orchestras. It was kind of nice because all their equipment was there, so they
Yeah.
could get access to the basses and the things they don't take home. But I don't know, it seemed pretty. I like that, getting that kind of music outside.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Well,
the
it is-
bands, the middle school bands, man, they actually sound really good.
They do.
One of the,
Sound awesome.
some of the feedback we got from the youth showcase was they thought it was band, like school
Oh.
marching bands,
Ah,
like type of music. They didn't realize it was,
Rock and roll.
well, yeah, it was all sorts of
Yeah.
music. but,
Whatever they, I don't know, what do the
Interesting,
kids,
okay.
they don't call it rock and roll, what did they call it? I don't have.
Yeah, they keep changing the name, but
Yeah,
it's
I
super.
don't have teenagers.
But yeah, I think it would be cool to get the bands, the school bands.
Yeah.
Out there. I mean, I live in Edmonds and I can hear the bagpipes practicing on Saturday, I don't know which, one of the mornings down there. They don't, I think they rotate to be nice
they
to
annoy?
neighbors.
Right.
Yeah, but towards the end of the like summer, you can start hearing the bagpipes and it's fun.
They had great, at the Edmonds Art Fair, they had great music, it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I went down there.
Some of those bands were just groups, I should say, they weren't really bands, but they were groups. Just amazing.
Yeah.
They were really, really good. I don't know where
Yeah,
they.
there's no shortage of musical talent out there, I'll say that.
There's a ton.
Actually, yeah, that pipes one has a interesting potential, right? So the marching band at Short Crest has a
Yeah.
whole pipes section. Does anybody in the area do like a show with not just them, but other like adults or other?
Well,
Pipers?
St. Patrick's Day,
Yeah.
if you go like Edmonds and like Greenwood, there are bands, like big
There are
bands that like
bagpipers out there.
walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could potentially one day get
I
a.
don't know if I want a whole,
I know. I
a
was wondering.
whole concert,
I
one
was
song, plenty. Lordy. Yeah,
It's a, noise, that's for sure.
Especially when they're learning it.
oh Lord, please,
Those parents,
they're saints, that's what they are. Okay,
Cool.
anything,
Good ideas.
any other agenda items we need to cover?
as long as we got forum next one, we'll just keep coming through.
Right, great. Look at that, Steve, 5:02.
Perfect. Not too much of it.